So now we've beaten Coal Edge's day stage. So you may be thinking, now we can go to the night stage, right? Well, as it turns out, we can't.
This door's not opening.
That really threw me for a loop when I first played the game. Apparently, you're supposed to go to Spagonia instead, even though you haven't beaten its day stage. And you aren't going to beat its day stage, you're going to beat its night stage. So that's kind of weird. Like, this game leads you into thinking that you have to go to, like you beat a day stage and then you have to beat a night stage right afterwards. Because that's how it happened in Apatos. But for some reason, they throw you for a loop here, and they don't make you do Halaska Night after Halaska Day. One complaint I do have about the map screen hub world is that it's kind of hard to remember what sections that you press A on will go to what NPCs. And talking to certain NPCs twice can give you items. But I don't really feel like it's very intuitive at all. And I don't mean talking to them twice as in talking to them as the werehog when you previously talked to them as Sonic. Or vice versa. I mean, like, going back to talk to them much later in the game, sometimes that can give you items, and I don't know how you're supposed to know that without a guide. Another thing really unintuitive is how are you supposed to know how you're supposed to look up the illustrations and stuff to look at them in the first place. Like, it took me forever to figure out how I was supposed to do that to rewatch cutscenes and stuff. Like, I'm getting all these new items from the NPCs, but I had no idea how I was supposed to even look up them. In the HD version, I believe that you go to Professor Pickle's lab, and you talk to him, and that's how you get the option to look up, to rewatch cutscenes and stuff. But it's not very intuitive here. But anyways, I don't really like the way the werehog looks in the Wii version. I don't know, something about him. But that's a minor nitpick. Now we're going into Spagonia Night. This is going to be another werehog level part. And yet another werehog level part where I couldn't fit all 3 levels into one video. And we've got more narrow corridors once again. Like, I was trying to dash past those things. I was trying to dash into those things, but thankfully it's by this point in the game that I finally figure out how I'm supposed to dash consistently. Which is good because it's by Spagonia Night that you really do need to dash to beat it. Something I haven't talked about yet with the werehog is the shield. Basically, you hold down the B button to block. And you collect a whole bunch of different shield items. And so you can block again. Or something like that. The thing is that I barely ever use the shield at all, so I don't even entirely remember how it works. I really wish that, in order to make the shield more useful, they should have made it like Sonic Battle, where in Sonic Battle, you would start healing after you blocked. Although I would have preferred it if, obviously, you kept on blocking, and thus being invulnerable while you were healing. But I guess that would be too broken. It's weird, like, they say you got an item, but they don't tell you what item you got. Like, at the very least, they could tell you, you got an illustration, or something like that. It feels lazy to me, I don't know. But anyways, I don't think that the shield being on the B button is a very good idea. Like, it's weird. I'm used to the B button being the attack button from Wind Waker and stuff. So not only is it really weird having the shoulder buttons be the attack buttons, but it's also really weird having the B buttons be barely used in this game when it comes to the werehog. Now, here's something inconsistent. You were taught with the Bs that you should not use a special attack against the flying enemies because you'll miss. But here we get flying enemies where you pretty much have to use the miss attack on them to hit them accurately. And not only that, but doing that will deal them more damage. So they completely changed the rules on you. Although these guys don't exactly strike me as fast and mobile. So every level introduces new gimmicks to it. Like you notice I think with this one, you can't just stand on the switch. You also have to put something on it to keep it weighed down. Or you can just dash like I did. So that was useful. But yeah. Something I haven't talked about yet, and I really wanted to when I first entered Halaska, was that I really love how Halaska's temple looks. Like, it's a pretty ice temple. It looks really nice. It's easily the nicest looking guide temple that we have in all of Unleashed. But I was so busy talking about other things I didn't talk about it. And here we get to a section that perfectly demonstrates the bad camera of Unleashed. You see, the camera is always pointing towards the direction that you need to go. It's just like in SA2. The problem is that the enemies aren't going to run up to you unless you walk up to them. So, like this one is, but there's actually enemies behind the camera. So, I defeated all the enemies that I thought were there, and then I realized, hey, this purple gate is disappearing. What am I doing wrong? So I had to run backwards towards the camera and blindly stumble into enemies. So thank God they removed touch damage to this game. I think I just stunned the enemy. That's useful. Another weird thing that the werehog levels can have is that the health bar looks like it's empty, but you can still keep on attacking the enemy. And it just delays it being destroyed. And like, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes that's been destroyed. Like, it should just instantly explode once its health bar has been destroyed. And see what I mean? Like, I'm walking straight towards the camera. It's a good thing that walking into those purple gates doesn't hurt you. Because that would really suck. And yeah, like, you may be wondering why the Wii version, maybe wondering why I consider the Wii version to be superior when there's multiple werehog levels instead of just one. But the way I see it is, these werehog levels individually are a lot shorter than one gigantic werehog level for the HD version. Where it's like a 25-minute long slogfest. And you have to do it all in one sitting. Like, that is exhausting. I couldn't imagine doing that. At least with the Wii version, each of the werehog levels for a country are separated into 3 different levels. You don't have to beat them all in one sitting. So you can just take a break and come back to the next one later. And I haven't mentioned it yet, but like, I'm really glad that there's a double jump for the werehog. Like, it's very merciful having a double jump there to catch you. And plus it slightly increases your jumping distance. But yeah, like, I feel like it's better to have a bunch of 5 to 12 minute long levels that you don't have to do all in one sitting, over one gigantic one they have to beat in one sitting. And like, some of the werehog levels are pretty short for werehog level. Like, you would never see a 6-minute long werehog level in the HD version. Although unfortunately, let's just say that it looks good so far that there's only 3 werehog levels for each country. But unfortunately, eventually we're going to get to the point where you have to do 4 werehog levels. 4 werehog levels, 1 day stage. Like, this game advertises duality, where it's like day and night, night and day. Different as night and day. And yet it doesn't give equal emphasis to both gameplay styles. Instead, this game is 90% werehog. You're going to be spending most of your time playing as the werehog. A gameplay style that nobody asked for, by the way. And, like, I don't know. it just doesn't make much sense other than being something to pad out the game. Like, a lot of 3D Sonic games have the padding problem. Like, a lot of 3D Sonic games pad out the game to justify its price tag with alternate gameplay. Like, Sonic Adventure 2 did it with the treasure hunting levels that would take way too long. I believe Sonic Adventure 1 did it. Although not nearly as glaring. Like, I had a whole bunch of different character storylines you could do. And you had to do all of them to get to the last story, but they were all individually pretty short. Like, it was only Big and Amy that would really classify as padding. Like, I don't know. Like, it was Heroes that really had padding again. Because, like there's SA1 wasn't so bad, SA2 was really bad, and then we got Heroes, where you literally have to play the entire game 4 times to get to the last story. Because, like, there's multiple different stories with different characters that basically play the exact same, with a few different abilities here and there. And Team Rose has shorter levels, while Team Dark drags on far too long. And Team Chaotix is basically this huge scavenger hunt. Not very fun at all. And you have to play the entire game like 4 times, beating the same bosses over and over again. It's all to pad out the game. Like, a lot of 3D Sonic games have padding as its problem. Then we finally got to, like, Sonic Colors Generations, where they didn't have padding that much. And people complained that they were too short. Like, they weren't even 10 hours long to beat them in one sitting. And even then, Sonic Generations, God, it's so cheap that you could get knocked down to a lower route by projectiles from those flying enemies. Like, you have to rely on these flying enemies to swing across the level to progress. And yet they can hit you and knock you down. I feel like that's cheap. And the game rewards you for failing? Like, I would have gotten that item there on my first try anyways, if I hadn't been knocked down and screwed up. So the game rewards you for failing the platforming? That's backwards. But I do like this concept. Like, swinging on the enemies to progress. I feel like it's a novel new gimmick, and I like it. I never really liked the design of the werehog, and I feel like it's trying to be too dark and edgy, especially with his voice. Like, his voice is so needlessly gruff and stuff. Like, a lot of people say that Shadow the Hedgehog is way too dark and edgy of a character, but like it was really the werehog that I really feel like calling edgy the hedgy, especially when it comes to his voice. Like, it's weird. Ugh! Like, I could have sworn I saw a flying enemy ahead of me, so I guess my brain just automatically assumed you have to rely on that to get to the goal ring. So I double jumped instead of doing a dash jump. So it basically tricked me into falling. And then I fell again. Wonderful. But yeah, like the whole concept of like Sonic turning into a werehog, and like he angsts about it because he looks like a monster, and he has this dark and edgy, gruff voice. Like, it just makes it a lot more obvious that this game has a schizophrenic tone. It's all over the place. Like, it has the potential to be a serious story, but that just makes the light-hearted comedy relief characters feel a lot more forced. Like, they don't really come naturally. Why have dark elements in a plot if you aren't going to focus on them? Instead they're all like, whatever. The world's destroyed. Whatever. Why would anyone care about that? I mean, supposedly, according to Advance 3's manual, the world was shattered to pieces. But if the reason that no one cares is because it's happened before and everything turned out fine, then explain that. Have nods to Sonic Advance 3. At the very least, it would get people to shut up about saying, oh, the handheld games aren't canon just because they're handheld games. Like, we need more nods to the handheld games and 3D games, just so that people stop saying stuff like that. There are a few other minor nitpicks that I have with the plot. Like, I feel like the whole... Oh, it's the end of the part.